We're interested in variation. Now here's a puzzling story. Here's one example of what I mean by the question that I hope you will all be dying to hear the answer to. So the question, in this case, is not really about the cuckoo, but the cuckoo is a bird that's a social parasite. So everybody knows, or many of you know, that raising children is an enormous amount of work. It costs lots of money, lots of energy, lots of time. People get gray hairs. Birds often die, actually, because there's so much work to feed these demanding offspring. So the cuckoo, cleverly, or through evolution anyway, came up with a solution to that, which is to get somebody else to raise his offspring. So this individual here, this female, what she will do is find the nest of another kind of bird and lay her egg into the nest of this other bird, to be raised by this other bird, the host, we call it. And what's clever, though, is that these cuckoos, different cuckoos in different areas, are specialized on different types of host species. So they lay their egg into different kinds of host nests. And here I've got a really enlarged photograph of two eggs of another species of bird and a cuckoo egg. And you can see that they're actually quite similar. And in fact, cuckoos will change both the shape, the color, and the pattern of their eggs to match those of the host bird in order to be camouflaged in that host bird's nest. Now, here's the host, one of the possible hosts. This is a reed warbler. This is the busy mom. This is her nest. These are her eggs. But in fact, there's a little imposter here. That is the cuckoo egg. And I'm sure you can't tell, I can't even tell from this distance which one it is. I just know because I looked it up beforehand. But you can see that the cuckoo egg is very camouflaged, right? It's hidden among these other eggs. Nevertheless, there are subtle differences if we actually scroll back a little bit. Here, there's just a little bit of a subtle difference in this example. You can see that these are a little bit more brown, this is a little more black. So if you look really, really closely, you can in fact distinguish it. And the reed warbler, this mom, anticipating all the work that every one of these eggs is going to produce just a few weeks from now, she is actually incredibly well equipped mentally and in terms of her perception to detect these imposters, to detect the wrong egg, the cuckoo egg, in her nest. And once she recognizes it, she kicks it out. And so then she can spend all her effort raising her actual own children. Now, that's quite impressive. The reed warbler seems to be a clever bird. But now look at this here. What is that? That is a cuckoo chick that escaped detection. Apparently, it was not recognized as an egg. The subtle differences were just subtle enough for this reed warbler mom to miss it. But now, this is what it's supposed to be like. This is what it's actually like. Detect any difference? How can this bird not detect a difference? I mean, look at this. How subtle is that? How non-subtle is this? So this is a puzzle that I hope you want to hear the answer to, and I'm going to torture you for another 20 minutes. I'm not telling you the answer until then, but you have to pay attention so you don't miss it. But anyway, so my point here is, obviously, this bird has great ability to distinguish subtle visual differences when it's looking at the eggs. But when this gigantic bird that can't possibly this guy's offspring, or this mom's rather, and is there instead of 5 or 4 or 5 of her own offspring that are supposed to be this size, you can just about see them peeking out of there. It doesn't look anything like her own offspring, and yet, there's nothing wrong with her eyes. But still, she can't tell the difference here. So this is weird. Bird brain. Of course, it is a bird brain, but like I said in the